Now in this tutorial I'm going to show you guys it's a really useful little trick, and it's how to use squash and stretch to create a really dramatic effect. It's good for like laughs, animating laughs and surprises, and you know, any kind of action that requires the character to be really dramatic. So if you look at what I'm showing you now, you see a cartoon character like he's hearing some crap on the phone and someone's saying something, and then he goes from you know, having an angry expression, and then he goes to surprised, as if he heard something that, you know, was shocking. So, you know, there's nothing really dramatic about how he responds. But if you look at this one, see now, you know, you see that little springy effect. And you see that a lot in a lot of cartoons and flash animations. It really makes the action a lot more dynamic and dramatic, and you know, makes it a little more interesting to watch. I mean, that's what cartoons are all about, exaggeration. So how do you create that effect? Okay, so here I've set up, it's pretty, you know, I'm not going to go into a lot of details about the symbols and parts and all that stuff. I'm just going to focus specifically on creating that effect. So here is the guy on the phone, you know, before he hears whatever that will cause him to respond or react in that way. And here's where he reacts. See, that's the change. Not that dramatic. How do you create that dramatic effect? Well, here I have a frame. So between these two keyframes, this is at frame 27, and then 28, 29, 30, 31. Okay, so there are 3 frames in between. I am going to create a keyframes. I'm going to create a set of keyframes at the frame right in the middle or between those 2 keyframes. All right. So F6, and so you have the action. This is before you got it. This at this keyframe, or these sets of keyframes at 20, 27, 28, 29, this is where the squash and stretch effect will occur. And then he will be surprised. So how do you do that? Simple. By creating these keyframes, notice nothing changes until I go to 31. See, nothing changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these keyframes, right? And now, see, notice I'm also using the transform tool. That's why you see this little box around it with a little square nose at the end. Now this is the pivot. Okay, so any action that you create on this character will occur around this point. This will be your pivot around everything. So if I were to rotate this, it will rotate around this point. So what I do is I am going to move this pivot to his feet. Okay, so that means whatever changes I make, his feet will stay grounded. So squash and stretch, you're pretty much squashing it, like really compressing the figure, and then stretching, you're widening it, which is what happens with like anything that is elastic, like a bouncing ball or something like that. If you were to press down on it, it will squash, but to compensate, it will also stretch and get wider. So it gets shorter, but it gets wider because the volume stays the same. So I'm holding down shift, and I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to squash it. See what's happening? It's squashing. But of course I'm not going to go that far. I'm just going to squash it down a little bit. And then while still holding down shift, see the pivot now is at the center. I'm going to stretch it out. See that? Now this is what it will look like without, see that? A lot more dramatic. Now it kind of looks like it's just popping. See? So to eliminate the effect where it's just popping, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all these frames and create a classic tween. So the action will be more smooth. You know, it will seem more gradual. It won't just pop like it is appearing now. And I'm also going to go to the middle sets of keyframes, and also create a classic tween. So now it will appear a lot more smooth in terms of that popping effect. But that's pretty much how you create that effect. And that's it.